الحمد لله العلي الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى الذي جعل الفلاح لمن تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى اللهم صل وسلم على هذا النبي المصطفى ومن اتبع الهدى أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the world, the most gracious, the most merciful. It's indeed a great honor to me and to IIIT, the International Institute of Islamic Thought, to be one of the supporters, actually, to this very prestigious conference held by api, which means fire. Ini anastu nara. I found the api. And first of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks and gratitude to the dean and of the chair of the api and also the organizer of this conference. And I'm very happy that we are coming with our respected brothers, Professor Dr. Malik Batri, who come a long way from UIA, Kuala Lumpur, where 2 days ago I was there, and Professor Dr. Rahmatullah Khan, thank you very much. And indeed, a great honor to IIIT to present these two prominent psychologists, and I think 2 of them are clinical psychologists. So thank you very much for inviting us. We have here Professor Ubandi and Professor Abdul Mujib and Professor Muryadi. We have some representatives of the Dean of the Psychology of UIN Jakarta, and then UIN Yogyakarta, UAD, Ustaz Ahmad Dahlan, and UII, where last month we were together with Professor Abdul Hamid Marazi from Kashmir in the UIE and also in UIN, the Faculty of Tarbiyah. To IIIT actually is a great honor to have a closer collaboration in developing the integration of knowledge and the process of Islamization of knowledge, especially in the field of psychology. And the question after that is, what is the book? If we already discussed on the Islamization of the integration of knowledge in the, let's say, 2 decades, now the further question is, where is the book? So since last 5 years, we have been working very closely with the different universities and the different disciplines. And lately, last month, we organized a workshop on the textbook writing in UIE for preparing 8 books. In the end of this year, UMS Surakarta will publish 6 books, and UII will produce 8 books in 8 disciplines, including the psychology. And I heard from Dr. Taufik Kasturi from UMS that he is also chairing the committee of textbook writing on Islamic psychology. For the special network in the Association of Islamic Psychology, we are happy that we have the new president of the International Association of Muslim Psychology, Professor Dr. Rahmatullah Khan, who are here today, and the former president and the founder, Professor Malik Badri. We have an honor to invite him in 2001 with Pak Jamaluddin Ansor, my close friend, and Pak Mubarak. I heard that he's coming this evening, Professor Mubarak, and also Professor Mujib was there, I think, in 2001, where Professor Malik Badri we have an honor to receive him in our home in Jakarta. And for IIIT, actually, when we look at the topic of this conference, the contribution of Islamic psychology to the world civilization, I always look at this journey of the API in last 14 years. API? Yes. As a civilizational journey. This seminar, this conference, this mini workshop is a kind of civilizational journey. And what we have achieved up to now is a collective civilizational achievement from different universities, from the different faculties of psychology all over the country. So we are happy to further collaborate in the, let's say, the textbook writing, in the publication, and even in some extent on the scholarship for PhD, but only very limited scholarship and only for students in UIA to pursue their study in for PhD in UIA. So we offer once again to collaborate on the further cooperation in the textbook writing as well as in the creation of knowledge, but also in publication in small, let's say, program for scholarship for PhD program in UIA. We also publish books. We publish more than 200 titles, and today I got 2 titles. The Quranic Worldview, a Springboard for Cultural Reform by Professor Abu Sulaiman, the former rector of UIA, and the new books. The latest book is Parent-Child Relations Against Raising Children. Is generally there is 3 writers, Professor Abu Sulaiman, Dr. Rizam Talib, and Dr. Umar Talib, the close friend of Dr. Mulyani Kartanegara. So I would like to present this to the Dean and later on to the API. So Professor Badi, could you please, on behalf of the Dean, on behalf of this board. Thank you very much. And the second to the Babagus, could you please come forward on behalf of the API to be fire of Buddha. The fire of Buddha. Thank you. So for others, I bring also some copies, but only for UIN, UII, and one for OAD. But next time we will visit you and we will bring you some other book, inshallah. But you could also find in our www.iiit.org. So thank you very much and have a good discussion and very productive seminars and workshops. Aku qouli hada, astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for Professor Dr. Abid Kirzin. Now we're going to proceed to the next agenda, a keynote speech, and I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Rahmatullah Khan to deliver the speech, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Professor Madi, President of API, Professor Malibati, Professor of Muslim Psychologist, Professor Mulyadi, Professor Habib, and I think there are quite a number of professors here and deans, and which I won't be able to address you all. I'm very actually honored to be here, but actually I feel very small because we have Professor Malik here. I have been following him for many years. But anyway, I have some strength because I know whatever I say here he can correct. So it's like a student, delivering a speech to the teacher. Anyway, the topic that I've chosen for today's keynote is hope and religiosity, redesigning the placebo effect. According to Al-Ghazali, to proceed, hope and fear are two wings by means of which those who are brought near fly to every commendable station, and two mounts on which every steep ascent of the path to the next world is traversed. From an Islamic point of view, the concept of hope does not stand alone, except when in unison with fear and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of the core principles of Islam depicts the love of Allah, being hopeful of His mercy and being fearful of His punishment. A verse of the Quran reflects call upon Him with fear and hope. You see in Surah Al-Araf, the verse 56. In his prominent book, the Ihya Ulumuddin, Al-Ghazali analyzes the man is always facing events that is either anticipated for or abhorred, out of which is related to the present, or part of which is linked to the past, and what is projected in the future. This existential outlook on human experience is what defines the Ghazalian concept of hope, as illustrated by what he says here, I quote, "When what has existed in the past occurs to your mind, it is called remembering and recollecting. If what occurs to your mind is existent at the moment, it is called finding and tasting and perceiving. It is called finding because it is a state which you find for yourself, and if the existence of something in the future occurs to your mind and prevails over your heart, it is called expectation and anticipation. If the thing expected is abhorred with pain in the heart resulting from it, it is called fear and distress. If it is something desired with pleasure and relief of the heart resulting from the expectation of it, and the attachment of the heart to it, and the occurrence of it existent to your mind, then relief is hope. That relief is actually hope. So this is actually quotation from Al-Ghazali. In my recent discussion and chat with our Professor Malik Badri, the father of Muslim psychologist, he enumerated that al-khawf and al-raja, khawf and fear, are two emotional phenomena that is expected to help a Muslim maintain an optimal human functioning in anxiety-provoking situations, and be present in our hearts in equal proportions. That means we must have some hope as well, we also have some of the fear. That means that makes us balanced. This is what I believe. To support this view, Anas reported that the Prophet Muhammad SAW entered upon a young boy who, at the point of the death, the Prophet SAW asked, "How are you?" The boy replied, "O Messenger of Allah, I am in between hoping in Allah and fearing for my sins." The Prophet said, "The like of these two qualities do not unite in the heart of a servant, except that Allah gives him what he hopes for and protects him from what he feared." So this is related by Sunan Al-Tirmidhi and Sunan Ibn Majah. Hence, fear and hope remains a two-sided of the coin phenomenon that is inherent in every Muslim that professes the Islamic faith, based on the fact belief in Allah, His messengers, the last day, destiny, etc., are the bedrock of what constitutes being fearful of losing Allah's mercy and being in a state of expecting His mercy and salvation. According to Al-Ghazali again, hope stands at the opposite end of the continuum from despair. As a result, being a source of motivation while being in a state of despair is distressful. He further explains that fear is not the opposite of hope, but rather a companion to it. Additionally, Allah SWT says in Surah Az-Zumar, O my slaves who have transgressed against themselves, despair not of the mercy of Allah. Verily Allah forgives all sins. Truly He is oft forgiving, the most merciful. And in another part, in Surah Al-A'raf, verily your Lord is quick in punishment, and verily He is oft forgiving, the giver of mercy. So, it is expected that an individual strikes a balance and maintain a middle course between fear and hope. This is due to the possibility that holding to being hopeful may be tantamount to wishful thinking on one hand, and being on the other podium of fear may lead to distress on the other. Obviously, there tends to be highly limited literature in mainstream psychology research on hope from the Islamic viewpoint. It is quite understanding that the Western concept of hope remains much in the limelight in attaining a purposeful. Generally, hope can say to have been in sustaining our intimate relationship, helps in attaining a purposeful and meaningful living, and governs the prospect of optimal well-being. Recently, as a psychological construct, hope has been conceptualized as a cognitive motivational stimulus, future-oriented positive emotion, and as a character strength. One of the most pronounced psychologists in hope theory is Snyder, who believes hope can be referred to a motivational paradigm that fosters a person towards meeting set goals, being optimistic in positive outcomes, develop plans, and aggregating the drive to actualize the plans. In the same way, Earth's hope theoretical framework views hope as a motivational and cognitive element that is ideally essential to initiate and sustain an individual's action towards goal attainment. So it can be said to the primarily concerned with a person's future goals due to how they are related to coping with medical illness, loss of a close one, or other mental or physical related stressors. The hope theory is conceptualized on three platforms, which include the cognitive sequential dimension, an effective behavioral dimension, and lastly, a connective spiritual dimension. In comparison, Snyder's agentic thinking has been similar to that of Hertz's cognitive dimension, as a result of the fact that they both refer to a person's belief that he can convincingly attain desired objectives. As an example of this can be the case of a man who is recently diagnosed with lung cancer, might as soon as possible see himself living a normal life as an unbelievable goal that is worthy of being attained, though accept coping with illness is a more realistic goal. Furthermore, there have been tremendous support from various studies involving people coping with medical illness, healthy adults, and individuals anguished by the loss of loved ones based on Hertz's dimensional model, and at the same time being used as a model to guide interventions in the medical field. There are some criticism that appears that there is no strong evidence of causal relationship between increased hopefulness and all the positive outcomes related to social, emotional, and physical benefits it can still be deduced that hope theoretical framework established by Snyder and Hurt have opened new windows and presented the field of clinical and positive psychology. A valuable means of approaching hope as a cognitive and motivating construct related to optimum psychological functioning. It is based on this positive outcome that Rand and Chevins highlighted that the duo, the Snyder and the Hurt theories, have had a great influence on research and practice for the past 20 years, based on the ability to establish the link between self-reported hopeful thoughts and positive outcomes like physical health, coping, and sickness and loss, academic achievement, psychosocial adjustment, problem solving of emotional and physical breakdown, and others. Moreover, actually, positive outcomes like hope are offered in the capability to restore peace of mind in individuals, help to develop these cognitive and social resources, and improve coping processes, while negative emotions tend to act on the other way, ground in constricting one's thinking capabilities. However, this notion of negative emotions in positive psychology can said to be in contrast with the Islamic conceptualization of emotions like guilt and fear. Sense of guilt, for instance, stimulates a Muslim towards seeking for forgiveness from Allah SWT in order to attain some degree of relief from wrongdoing. Thus, sense of guilt, if within limits, can said to be a form of predictor towards attaining psychological well-being. More so, the blend of fear and hope, so explained earlier on, remains a combination of both positive and negative emotion, entrenched within the background of faith and belief in Allah's disposition of affairs and life events. So coming back to hope and religiosity, there is no doubt concerning the confusion surrounding the definition of religiosity and spirituality in mainstream psychological research. While there are varying views on the term religious and spiritual, it is in the interest of this paper to see the two concepts as one based on the fact that most definitions concur that the two divine related concepts constitute beliefs in God, activities that one makes one closer to God and being good to humanity. So, in this paper, we point the use of both concepts simultaneously. Considering the vast number of research on religiosity and mental health, one prominent source is Koenig, in which meta-analysis findings reveal that religiosity helps in coping against adversity, which involves a wide range of medical conditions and stressful situations, anxiety, depression, suicide, and being significantly correlated with positive emotions, meaning, hope, optimism, sense of control, and other well-being variables. Interestingly, here is the link between religiosity and positive constructs like hope. Looking at the collective spiritual dimension of hope, according to her, there is a link between an individual and his supreme being based on the possibility of coping and attaining support from the divine when faced with difficulties and illness. However, it is quite obvious that the connection between some positive variables like hope, meaning, happiness, etc. has not been given much attention and referred to as the religious variables. This issue was first raised by Blunt. He argues, this was in 2008, he argues that positive psychology variables may have been secularized by professional psychology and detached from the spiritual and religious backgrounds. He further suggests that making use of religious traditional backgrounds that have been modified could be helpful to modern day psychologists and their clients. So this is what we are thinking about. Looking at the religious link to the hope construct, Scioli has extended the conventional psychological concept of hope. He subscribed a new theory of hope that reflects its complex nature with its roots in the self and in spiritual essentialities. This is mean that the psycho-spiritual view of hope variable, coupled with its complex cognitive platform, alerts the fact that facing major life challenges may not be resolved by the concept alone, but rather calls for a belief system that fosters hopes in all situations. Furthermore, there have some studies pointing to how hope correlates with spiritual well-being and life satisfaction, like that of Abdul Khalid among HIV-infected individuals with positive effect. Moreover, the mechanism through which the religio-cognitive link between hope and religion may be explained can be connected to the mind-body interaction. Besides, Scioli reported that hope in due course reflects a deep of the mind-body connection. To buttress this claim, Scioli conducted a study among 12 thyroid cancer patients. Results showed that patients who are hopeful reported better health with less worry and psychological distress about their health. In a recent study, Scioli and his group examined the potential role of hope on the well-being of individuals with HIV among 16 adults serving a rural population in southwestern New Hampshire, USA. The data were collected through self-reported health data as well as blood samples that provided an index of immunological status. Results revealed that the total hope scores as well as the hope scores were significantly correlated with various dimensions of self-reported health. Wang and Martin Skolsky recently examined the relationship between spiritual experience, hope, meaning of life, and psychological well-being. It was hypothesized whether hope mediates meaning of life and psychological well-being. The participants include 115 students from 2 universities in Poland, and the data was obtained through administering scales like purpose in life test and heart hope index. Results showed that meaning of life and hope were related to both cognitive and emotional measures of psychological well-being. Hence, positive variables with religious background like meaning and hope can be seen as important factors fostering positive psychological outcomes. The periscope into the pockets of psychological research on hope and other well-being related constructs. One issue is that of plants arguing that positive psychology experts in particular may have secularized and detached these constructs from their spiritual and religious background. So this is what happened. Another is that there are gross little research on inner dimension of these constructs from mainstream religious perspective like Islam. So this is what we have to push. So introducing the Quranic hope drive. The Quranic hope drive is characterized with the belief that based on Allah's immeasurable mercy to man and His perfect design of the course of life events and situations, there is an assured degree of change to a better future which is driven from an individual self and the life event itself. So the Quranic hope drive is based on the premise of 3 Quranic verses illustrating the assertion of hope from the Creator to the created. These include assured change of situation, assured inner strength, and assured relief from difficulties. So to start with, assured change of situation is extracted from Inna Allah yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, which means verily never will Allah change the condition of a people until they change, that is what within themselves. And secondly, the assured inner strength is mined from La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha, which means on no soul does Allah place a burden greater than it can bear. This hope-driven indicates that whatever form of hardship or difficulty a person is experiencing, he has the resource